Good. So we learned last week, Perek Dalet, that Bnei Israel went to war. A few years passed, and Shmuel received this first nevuah. Bnei Israel went to war, and very surprisingly, for the first time in almost 300 years, they lost the war. And we explained that it was because they went to war without asking the Navi, without asking the Kohen Gadol. They went thinking that they reached a high enough level that now they can go to war, because Shmuel was being a Navi, and the nevuah, we learned at the end of Perek Gimel, the nevuah became a new trend in Am Yisrael. It became popular in Am Yisrael. So they thought, oh, okay, so certainly Hashem is on our side, and thank you. And if we go to war, we will win. But they didn't ask for guidance. And after a first failure, they decided to bring in a special weapon, and they brought the Aron, and they said, we're going to take the Aron from the Mishkan, and we're going to bring it to war with us, and this will save us. And being that they didn't wonder why is it that they lost the war, they just tried to find a quick fix. Hashem got doubly upset, and there are 30,000 people that died in the war against the Pelishtim. I researched today the number of casualties that were in the Yom Kippur War in Israel. In Israel, the Yom Kippur War is considered to be the most difficult war that was. And there were about like a little less than 4,000 people, which is a lot for a small country like Eretz Israel, compared to the 30,000. Like, and in Israel, the people who live in Israel for a few generations, almost all families that had family members fighting during the time of Yom Kippur War, there is a family member that suffered, either died, was wounded, do something. They were like, really, it affected most families in Israel. So thinking that this was about 4,000 people, and in the war against the Pelishtim, we have 30,000 people that died. It's like almost every family is affected. We have so 4,000 and then 30,000. So yeah, 34. Yeah, 34,000. So it's an enormous amount of people. It's a massive tragedy that befell the people. And what happens is that we have a messenger, not a messenger. We have a soldier that comes from the battlefield, and that comes back to Shiloh, and he comes and he announces to people, and to Eli more particularly, that there was a defeat of the people of the Israeli nation, and the two sons of Eli died. So as a fulfillment of Shmuel's nevuah, and that the Aron was taken. Upon hearing that the Aron was taken, Eli cannot handle the news, and he dies. I read a fascinating midrash that says, you remember we said that Eli was a reincarnation of Aaron. So it says, he fell on his backbone. And the word that is used for his backbone, marpakto, is the same shoresh as the commandment that Aaron gives to the people when they come to him to ask him to do the egel, to do the golden calf. And he says, pirku et hazahav, like dismantle the gold, like bring the gold so that we can take it apart and make it into something else. And it's the same shoresh that we have in the involvement of Aaron in the golden calf and in the passing of Eli, meaning that by dying in a way, he died for the Kodesh, he died for the Aaron. By hearing the news of the Aaron, it affected him so much. So in a way, that is how he atoned for the sin of the golden calf, if we consider that Aaron sinned in the golden calf. So that was a closing cycle. And we said that there was a story at the end of the Perek. There was a story of the daughter-in-law of Eli, the wife of Pinchas, that her husband just died. And if you think about it, when she was pregnant, she was the most dignified family of the country, of the nation. She's the daughter-in-law of the Kohen Gadol. Her husband will be Kohen Gadol after her father-in-law passes away. Her son would be growing up in such a very prestigious family. And because of the day that it happened, that child grew up completely orphan. So he has no grandfather, he has no father. His mother even dies when she gives birth. And he's named after the tragedy that happens on that day. So that's really tragic. And we see that the wife of Pinchas, she doesn't focus on her own tragedy, that her family lost so many people and that she's about to die. She doesn't focus on that. Her focus is really on the Aron. It was the first time since the Aron was built that the Aron was leaving the Mishkan and was taken away. It was a big tragedy. There is a great deal of controversy asking which Aron was it. And there are opinions that say that actually there were two Aron. Very interesting. And the people who are for that opinion, they are very adamant that it happened, and they bring proof, they bring proof that is non-debatable. And the people who are against it, they're like, that doesn't stand whatsoever. So it's very interesting. How does it happen? We all know that when Hashem commanded to build the Mishkan, Hashem said to Bezalel, the person who was in charge of bringing the utensils of the Mishkan, so Hashem said, build the Aron. Just as build the Shulchan, build the menorah, build this, build that, right? But there is in Sefer Devarim, there is a parsha where Hashem says to Moshe himself, you should build an Aron, but it will not be the Aron like the Aron of the Mishkan. It will be a wooden box. And in that wooden box, you will put the Sefer Torah that you wrote. Moshe wrote 10 Sefer Torahs, and one of the Sefer Torahs that Moshe wrote, he will put it in an Aron that he made special for it. And Rashi explains there that this is the Aron that people would take to go to war. They would regularly take the Aron to go to war, and they would take that second one, not the regular Aron. Other commentators are saying we never hear of that Aron ever again. So, like, don't come and make up a whole new custom and ceremonial in Am Yisrael. It didn't happen. But the psukim say Hashem said to Moshe, build an Aron, and Moshe built an Aron. So what happened to this? To the second one. So there are opinions that say that they would always take an Aron that is special for taking to war, but during this war they brought the second Aron as a backup. Once they saw that they failed the first battle, they brought a second one. And some commentators say, but we don't see what happens with that second Aron. So clearly it was not part of the story because the Pelishtim took only one Aron. How would they choose which one to take? So like a whole back and forth. Either way, now we are starting Perek Hey, and Perek Hey, we're going to have two very interesting parakim that are different from really vast majority of all the parakim in the Tanakh, in the sense that they're not going to focus on Am Yisrael. We're not going to tell here what will happen to Am Yisrael after they lose the war. We're going to talk about what happens to the Aron. So even if we see in Perek Daled, we see that the focus of the people is on the Aron. And here even the Navi focuses on the Aron. So we're not going to deal about how people recovered from the war. We're going to see what happens with the Aron now. The Aron is being taken away. What's going to happen? All right. So in Perek Hey. All right. Perek Hey. Oh, you have it? Okay. Perek Hey pasuk Alef. You have it here in English, if you want. I'm just offering. ופלישתים לקחו את ארון האלוקים, and the Pelishtim took the ארון האלוקים, ויביאוהו, and they brought it, מאבן העזר, from Even Ezer, where the war took place, Ashdoda, to the city of Ashdod. Ashdod today is integral part of Eretz Yisrael, but back then it was one of the 5 major cities of the Pelishtim. One of the 5 major, not the most major one. Now the Pelishtim, they have a debate to face. They have a decision to make. What are they going to do with the Aron now? It is very high gold value because it's made of gold and a lot of gold. It's very heavy. But on the other hand, they consider it as the God of the Jews. They said when they saw the Aron coming, they said, oh, the God of the Jews came to war. So what are they going to do now? Are they going to break it? Are they going to take it apart? Are they going to put it somewhere? We have the psukim flowing, but it's a decision that they need to make. And they say, 1 second, this is the God of the Jews. We have a God. We'll put him where we have a God that has a place. We're going to put the Aron together with our God. We have a place for gods. So we're going to put it there. ויקחו פלישתים, and the Pelishtim took את ארון האלוקים, וארון האלוקים, ויביאו אותו, and they brought it, בית דגון, to the house of Dagon. We're going to see what is Dagon, ויציגו אותו אצל הדגון, and they displayed it by Dagon. What is Dagon? Dagon comes from the word Dag. Dag is fish. So there are two opinions about how Dagon looked. Some people say that the Pelishtim, I said last class that they lived by the seashore. So their god had the shape of a fish because their survival was dependent on the fish. They were more about fishing than agriculture. So their god was in the shape of a fish. So some opinions say that it was entirely a fish, entirely the shape of a fish, so that it had a human head and human hands. And another opinion say that it had the bottom was like a fish and the top was like a human, so like a mermaid type of thing. But very big, very imposing, all made of stone or of other materials. It's not really explained, but so they decided to bring the Aaron by their temple. So now, if you notice, it doesn't say if they decide to put the Aaron by the Dagon as an honor, like we have a God that we respect, we're going to put you next to our God that we respect. It's going to be a collection, or as a humiliation, like our God saved us. You are clearly here to show respect to our God because you're a captive. It doesn't say, but the commentators make both statements. They say, some say it was out of humiliation and some say it was out of honor. Pasuk Gimel, Vayashkimu Ashdodim mimachorat. And the Ashdodim, the people of Ashdod, woke up early the next morning. Before I continue the pasuk, can you think of another instance where we see that someone wakes up early in the morning in the Torah? Abraham, right? Abraham for the Akedah. It says that Yashkem Abraham Baboker. Abraham woke up early in the morning. Why? Because he was eager to do the Ratzon Hashem. He was eager to do the Akedah. We have also another person that woke up early, was Bil'am. When Bil'am went to curse the Jewish people, he also woke up early. And here we see the Ashdodim wake up early. Why do they wake up so early? What's burning for them? They want to see what happened during the night, because they put two gods who are very against each other. They want to know what drama occurred during the night. They are expecting something. They don't know what. They don't know what is going to happen, but they're expecting something. So they all wake up early and they're going to see, okay, how did the night go? And then boom, veine Dagon, and behold, they see Dagon, nofel lefanav arza. Dagon fell to the ground. Lifnei Aaron Hashem, in front of the Aaron, as if the Dagon is bowing to the Aaron, symbolically. So what happens is that the top half of Dagon fell to the ground. So what do? Say, well, never mind. It happens. It's after all, it's an object. Could be it fell. Who knows? Maybe there were strong winds or something. Vayikhu Dagon. So they took their god Dagon, they came and they put back into place. Oh, good. We'll put you back where you belong. So then the next morning they come again to see. And you see again, they wake up early. Dagon again fell. But lifnei Aaron Hashem, again in front of the Aaron. But now it is different. Verosh Dagon, it's not like the first time you have the entire top half of Dagon that fell. The second time, it's not like this. The second time, you have a Rosh Dagon, only the head, ushte kapot yadav, and the two hands. Rutot el hamiftan, they fell onto the ground of their temple. Rak Dagon nishar alav. Only Dagon, the body, stayed upright, but the head and the hands fell. So what is the symbolic here? The symbolic is that the Rosh refers to the thoughts. And the hands refer to the action. So Hashem is saying, there's no seichel in your idol. It cannot plan anything. It doesn't have a rationale, it doesn't have a plan of action. And the hands refer to the actions. It can't act on anything. It can't do anything. I'm the one in charge. But the Pelishtim, for the moment, they're still refusing to see it as a sign. Even more so, they will say, oh, you know what? Dagon fell on that place of the temple. So instead of having only the place where Dagon is standing, that becomes holy, the entire area where Dagon fell now is a holy ground because Dagon had a place on it at some point. As we know, for example, that lehavdil, when Moshe approached the burning bush, Hashem told him, no, don't come too close. It's a holy ground. Don't walk on here. So a holy place, we shouldn't approach it too easily. So they said, no, now this became holy. So instead of seeing the ridicule of the situation that Hashem is showing them, your idol is just an idol, they're like, oh, no, this from now on, this will be a holy place. And the pasuk details it for us. Al-ken, and therefore, lo yidrechu kohanei Dagon, the priest of Dagon will not walk, v'chol habayim bet Dagon, and all those who would come to the temple of Dagon, al miftan Dagon be'Ashdod, on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod, ad hayom hazeh, until today, until the day they write the pasuk. That means there was a custom that stayed for a long time. This is an area where we don't walk. It's a holy ground. So Hashem sees that plan number one of showing the Pelishtim that that their God is not the one who made them win the war is failing. Not only that, we have here a display showing that the Pelishtim, most probably they thought, okay, so we won the war against Bnei Israel. They brought the Aaron. We won the war. Clearly, we subdued the God of Bnei Israel to our God because we won. So clearly it's our God's merit, and we're winning. But Hashem says, I didn't make the Bnei Israel win because Bnei Israel didn't deserve to win. On the other hand, it doesn't mean that my kavod is gone away. My kavod still exists, and I will show you what I'm made out of. And I will show you that the kedusha, the shekhinah that rests upon the Aaron is still there, even in Galus. Now imagine, we have Galus as part of our life. So for us, the Shekhinah is in Galus. It's a known concept because we live with it. But for Bnei Israel, it's the first time it happens. They never had that. They don't know what Galus means. Galus is like a distant threat that didn't even come up yet. We don't have in the Nevi'im that they're threatening of being exiled from the land. It's not a reality. So for them, when the Aaron is taken, it's a massive tragedy. That's why they focus more on the Aaron than on the people, because it's completely destabilizes them. They think, how can we exist without the Shekhinah in the Mishkan? It's not a reality that they can face. And here Hashem shows them, no. I am wherever I need to be. The place is not what limits me. It's not the space that limits me. So imagine if Hashem shows such a display of divinity to non-Jews, how much more so for us who are in Galus, that Hashem is with us and doesn't limit him that we are in Galus. All right. So Hashem is going to now attack the Pelishtim to show them that he is in charge of what happens, and it's not because of their God that they won the war. So what will happen? Very interesting. Pasuk Vav. Vatichbad yad Hashem al ha'ashdodim, and Hashem's hand became heavy on the Ashdodim, on the people of Ashdod, which is a very bad sign, because if Hashem's hand is heavy, that means that he is weighing on them. All right. So as something negative. Vayeshimem, and he attacked them. Vayachotam, he smit them. Ba'afolim, batechorim. So it's kriyativ. We changed the reading and the written part. Et Ashdod ve'et gvulea, the entire city of Ashdod and its surroundings. Very interesting. The techorim, no one knows what it is. So the commentators explain that what is the techorim? Sorry, I thought you wanted to say something. The techorim, they were hit with hemorrhoids. Yes. And that's how they suffered. Now, suffering from hemorrhoids is very complicated because it's not something that you necessarily discuss with others. So people started being so uncomfortable. At the beginning, they kept it for themselves because it's something private. You don't really share. But then people started realizing that everybody around them is also suffering. But it was very embarrassing because you don't make it a public conversation. And until they realized that it was an epidemic, it took them time. And people were suffering so much, it was a torture. So what is the rationale?
They're saying it wasn't something that could be said, like, oh, we just caught it from each other.
So no, so they talked. So they did. They will come up with that, right? So the what is the reasoning? Because we know Hashem usually punishes midah keneged midah. So the reasoning was that they captured the Aron of Hashem. The Aron of Hashem is the hidden part of Hashem. The secrets of Hashem, the secrets of the presence of Hashem are in the Aron. So here they're hidden in their secret parts, in things that are usually kept secret. Also, they thought they were very, very strong. And now they were suffering so much that the commentators say, it's very interesting that they bring that analogy. They say, but now they started bleeding so much. They were like as weak as women. So they really put back into their place, but for the moment, they will not realize. So let's see. We will have a situation, if you pay attention, we will afterwards draw a lot of similarities with another episode in the Torah. But you can keep your eyes open for it. Pasuk Zayin, Vayiru anshe Ashdod, and the people of Ashdod feared, kichen, that it was so, that everybody was suffering. Ve'amru, and they said, Lo yeshev Aron Elokei Israel imanu. Oh, no, we don't want to have the Aron of Hashem dwelling among us. Ki kashta yado aleinu. Because its hand is really it's hard on us, ve'al dagon Elokeinu, and on our God. Now, if you pay attention, we had an opinion mentioned in a previous pasuk, and it says, so not here. It says in pasuk Hey. In pasuk Hey, it says, Al ken lo yidrechu kohane Dagon v'chol habayit b'im b'Dagon. The kohanim of the priest of Dagon, they said, oh, this is a holy ground and we have to respect it and we're not going to walk on that place. Meaning the kohanim, the priest of Dagon, they said, no, that has nothing to do with God. But the people of Ashdod, they're the priest, they are the experts in godliness. So they have to defend their God. And they have all these explanations and all these reasonings. But the people, they don't need all these explanations. They're like, hello, we're suffering. Clearly, that's the change. So this is the reason. Done. But the priests, they're not ready to give up so quickly. But the people, they're the ones who realize this is clearly because of their own. So what happens? Pasuk Chet. Vayishlechu, and they sent Vayasfu et kol sarne Pelishtim. The Pelishtim, they were organized into different with different ministers, let's say, and the ministers are called Sranim. And at Kol Sarne Pelishtim, all the ministers of the Pelishtim, so each city had a different representative, Alehem, Vayomru, and they said, Ma na'aseh le'Aaron Elokei Israel? What should we do to the Aaron of the God of the Jews? Because here it's really causing a lot of trouble. Vayomru, so the heads, they said, Ha, Gat, let's send it to Gat, another city of the Pelishtim. Gat Yisov Aaron Elokei Israel. We should turn it around to the city of Gat, the Aaron of the God of Israel. So they did. Vayasebu et Aaron Elokei Israel, and they turned it to the city of Gat. Now, what did they send it to Gat? The two reasons. Number one, they said, let's see, we have problems here, and we assume that it is due to the Aaron. It's caused by the Aaron. Let's send it to Gat and let's see if they suffer also after the Aaron comes. If they suffer also, that means that this is the reason. If they don't suffer, that means we just had an epidemic and it was a virus and that was it. Now, why would Gat accept it? Gat would accept it because Gat were like a subcategory, subclass in the hierarchy of the Pelishti cities, and they would have to accept whatever the Ashdodim superior would decide for them. So they bring the Aaron to the city of Gat. So let's see. So after they turned it around, Vatehi Yad Hashem Ba'ir, and there was the hand of Hashem on the city, so on the city of Gat, Mehuma Gedola Meod, a great tumult. Vayach et Anshe Ha'ir, and Hashem hit the people of the city, Mikaton Ve'ad Gadol, from big to small, from small to big, meaning from child to adult. ויסתרו להם תחורים, and the Amorites attacked them also. They also suffered. So, yes.
It's written as a.
Okay, so the only explanation, it's a good question. The only explanation that I found is saying that it is written afolim, but it is a word that is not known. And because it's a word that is not known, so then Ezra decided to incorporate the word techorim as a kri so that we would understand it. But this explanation is not satisfying, because why would there be a word in the Torah that exists from the beginning that we would not understand? Clearly, someone has an explanation. At least the person who wrote it would have transmitted the explanation to someone. So it's an explanation that is not satisfying. I'm waiting for 2 books to come in the mail, and I'm hoping that they will have an answer. But for the moment, that is the only explanation that I found. Thank you for asking. So clearly now they establish a connection. So what are they? So here we have Vayach et Anshe Ha'ir, Hashem hit the people of the city, Vayisatru lahem techorim, and the Amorites attacked them. So we have 2 facts here. And what happens is that first Hashem killed a lot of people in the city, and then those who didn't die, they suffered from Amorites. Pasuk Yud, Vayishalchu et Aaron, so their reaction, Vayishalchu et Aaron ha'elokim Ekron, so they say, oh, we're not keeping it Aaron, we're going to send it to the city of Ekron. Excellent question. So see, let's see. And it was as the Aaron was coming to Ekron, and the Ekronim started screaming, Lemor, and they said, to kill me, to kill my people. So here there is the head of the city, let's say the mayor of the city, that comes out and says, no, you want to kill us? Absolutely not. We're not bringing the Aaron into our city. So here we see that people start realizing that the Aaron is the one bringing them trouble. Now, I would like to point out that here we have Vayiz'aku ha'ekronim, the Ekronim screamed. And in Perek Dalet, where we talk about the tragedy that befalls Bnei Israel, and we have the Ish Binyamin, which we said was Shaul, that comes to the city. And I am looking for the exact pasuk. And he's, yes, pasuk Yud Gimel in Perek Dalet. And Ve'aish ba le'agid ba'ir, and the man came to tell to the city, Vatiz'ak kol ha'ir, and the entire city screamed. And here we have a parallel, a Perek later, that is the Pelishtim that scream out. And not only that, okay, yeah. Pasuk Yud Alef. Vayishlechu, so the people of Ekron sent out. Vayasfu et kol sarnei Pelishtim. They said we have to make the, is it called G7? The G8? The Grand International Meeting of the Pelishtim. All the heads have to come for an emergency meeting. And we're going to make a decision. Vayomru, and they said, Shalchu et Aaron Elokei Israel. Send away the Aaron. Vayashov limkomo. And he should go back to its spot, to its original place, meaning to Bnei Israel. Velo yamit oti ve'et ami. And here we hear the chief of Ekron that says that he wants to defend his city, said that he should not kill my people, me and my people. Ki haita mehumat mavet bekol ha'ir, because there was a tumult of death in the entire city. Kavda me'od yada Elokim sham. The hand of Hashem was very heavy there. Ve'anashim asher lo metu, and the people who didn't die, huku b'techorim, they also got hit by the techorim, even if the Aaron didn't enter the city. V'ta'al shavat ha'ir ha'shamayim, and the crying, the outcry of the city went up to heaven. Wow. This is the end of, we are we are at the end of this Perek, but this Perek goes together with the following Perek, which for our organization is not necessarily going to work. I would like to draw a very, very strong parallel that it's a little bit obvious. We have here a situation that is very similar to another situation that we have in the Torah. And what? Yes. We have a situation that's very similar. We have when Hashem comes to Moshe and tells him, go tell the Pharaoh to let the people go. Number one, we have a captive. So in Mitzrayim, we have the Bnei Israel that are captive. And here we have the Aaron that is captive. When Moshe starts to do the Makkos, what does he attack first? The water. The first two Makkos are about the water, because the Tzfardea, the frogs, they also came out of the Nile River. And why did Hashem start with the water? Because it was the god of the Egyptians. And here we see it starts with the god of the Egyptian, of the Pelishtim. We also see that at the beginning we have we have Paro and the Khartoumim. They say, no, this is a little petty change, all these plagues. This is nothing. We can do that too. It's like really regular occurrence. And that's why they think also the Pelishtim, no, this is nothing. This is just like it happens to be. It takes them time until they realize. And we have afterwards, when we have Makas Becharas, who comes and complains and says we want the Jewish people to leave? It's the people. The people come and say, let them go, we don't want to die. And here also, it's the people of Ashdod that come and say, we don't want the Aaron here. Go, let it go. Right? And here, how the head of the city of Ekron, he says, Le'amiteni ve'etami, to kill me and to kill my people. Like Pharaoh that said, like, I don't want to die. I don't want to be the first one who dies. There's really like the parallel is very, very strong. And the strongest is Vata'al Shavat Ha'ir HaShamayim, and their outcry went up to Shamayim. And it is an exact parallel to a pasuk that doesn't talk about the Mitzrim, doesn't talk about the Egyptians outcrying to Hashem. It talks about when Bnei Israel cry out to Hashem because of the suffering in Egypt. And it says, Vata'al Shavat Ha'am El HaShamayim, that the outcry of the people went up to Shamayim. So there, it was really because it reached Kisar Kavod and Hashem had mercy on them. Here, it is to say that they cried so loud, you could hear them miles away. But the choice of words is too parallel to not notice. So what do we see here is that the same way that Hashem did Muftim, did great miracles in Mitzrayim, that is so known to everybody, the same way Hashem does amazing miracles by the Pelishtim to preserve his honor and to make his honor known. And we know that in Mitzrayim, that's what Hashem said to Moshe, V'yedu ki ani Hashem, they will know that I am Hashem. And here, the realization, this is all because of the Aaron. This will be intensified in the next Perek. I think we have 15 minutes, so we have a little bit more time to actually go to the next Perek. We might not finish it, but it's worth to start it because it's really the exact, like, it shouldn't stop here. Vayehi Aaron Hashem b'sdei Pelishtim shiva chodashim. So now the Pelishtim don't know what to do with the Aaron because no one wants it, and they don't know what to do. What are they supposed to do? Bring it back to the Bnei Israel? But they don't even know how. It's like such a sign of defeat. Also, it's like a complete failure. It's making a joke out of themselves. So we're going to leave it in the open. We're going to leave it in the field. Whoever wants it takes it. We don't care. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We leave it hefker. But it was in a Pelishti field. So the Bnei Israel are not necessarily going into Pelishti land. But it was there for 7 months. The Midrash says that why was it there for 7 months is because it was a punishment for something that happened years and years and years ago. I'll say years, I'm saying actually more than 1,000 years. What happened? In the time of Avraham Avinu, so this week we're finishing Sefer Bereshis, right? So this is the story of Sefer Bereshis that connects with this. In the story of Sefer Bereshis, we have the story of Avraham that digs wells. And the Pelishtim come and they block the wells. They refill the wells. And Yitzchak comes, he digs the wells again. And then Abraham and Avimelech, they make a treaty, a peace treaty. Avimelech comes to Abraham and says, I want to make a peace treaty with you, that we will not do that bad stuff together again, to each other again. And Abraham, as a sign of accepting the treaty, gave 7 lambs to Avimelech. And Hashem didn't like that. Hashem says, hey, who's the boss here? Is it Avimelech the boss, or is it you the boss? Why are you like being so, like putting yourself out there for him, bending over for him, giving him 7 lambs? Nah. Fine, he wants to make a peace treaty, you can accept the treaty, but you don't have to bend over for him. You can accept it reluctantly or like quietly, just like you don't have to make an extra effort for it. So Hashem says, as a punishment, there will be 2 things. Number 1, 7 descendants of Abraham, 7 tzaddikim descendants of Abraham will be, listen to the word, 7 tzaddikim descendants of Abraham will die in the hands of the Pelishtim. We'll see who. And number 2, the Aaron was put aside, hefker, like shamed for 7 months. Now he will see that there is something very, I'll say that at the end because we may not notice, and if we notice it at the end, it's more dramatic. The 7 tzaddikim that will die at the hands of the Pelishtim. Eli, his 2 sons, that we said that they did so much evil, that they are actually tzaddikim. And we said that it's not to be taken first degree. So his 2 sons, that are considered tzaddikim. Shimshon, that died at the end of Sefer Shoftim. Shaul, the first king, and his 3 sons that will die at war with him. So that is for that. So they put it for 7 months over there. Great. Let's see what happens next. And the Pelishtim called to the priest, Velakosmim, and to their magicians. So here again reminds us of the Chartumim, the magicians of Pharaoh. Lemor, saying, Ma naase la'aron Hashem. What should we do with the Aaron? It's sitting there in the field. What should we do with it? Hodi'unu. Let us know. How should we send it back home? We want to send it back. We don't want to keep it anymore. But it is such a precious object and such a powerful object. Clearly, there must be a protocol. There must be a special way that we should do it. So they said, if you send it. So they're still not convinced, the magicians, yeah? Do not send it back empty. That would be very offensive for the Aaron to travel by itself. The Aaron needs to be accompanied, surrounded. Ki hashev tashivulo asham. You should bring an offering with it. So they are thinking completely with their own standards. As teraf'u, and then you will be healed. V'noda lachem, and you will know lama lo tasur yado mikem, and why his hand is not leaving you. Meaning, what they are saying is, you will notice the change after you follow our instructions. The Aaron should be returned with great honor and respect. So that is a great change from their attitude in the beginning and their attitude now. The same way that when Bnei Israel left Mitzrayim, they left with dignity. And now the Aaron is leaving the Pelishtim with dignity. So they are very interesting. They are thinking completely with their own standards. Their standards is we have a God and we bring it offerings and we bring it gifts. And the gifts can be material, they can be human, they have different types of gifts that they give to their gods. And they are applying their vision, completely transposing it onto the Aaron. They didn't move away from seeing the Aaron as their God, as the God of Bnei Israel. So the people, the Pelishtim, they are really cute. They really want to do things well. So they say, when they said, Ma ha'asham asher nashiv lo, what type of offering should we give to Aaron? Tell us, it's not detailed enough. So they said, Mispar sarne Pelishtim, a number of the chiefs, they said. No, Vayomru, and they said, Mispar sarne Pelishtim, according to the number of chiefs that you have in the land of the Pelishtim, which is 5, we have 5 circumscriptions, Chamisha. You should send 5 gifts. What should you send? You should send afole zahav. You should send, that now is a good question to ask, is 5 emeralds of gold. How do you do that? What is this supposed to look like? That's the question I have every year in 6th grade. What is it going to look like? Yeah, we don't know. V'chamisha achbare zahav. I forgot about sorry. V'chamisha achbare zahav and 5 gold mice. I'm sorry, I completely missed one plague that attacked them. And 5 golden mice. Ki magefa achat lekulam, because it was one and same plague. Lechulam ulesarnechem, and to your chiefs. Meaning, so I apologize. So what happens is that in addition to the Morites that they had, so there was an epidemic of an invasion of mice that came. Now, mice in the Torah and the Gemara, they're always considered as a bad creature. They're a creature that is useless, that steals, and that just causes damage. That's how they are described in every instance. For example, there's a famous Mishnah that talks about the chametz and says, what if you have a little hole in your house and you clean your house for Pesach and there's a mouse that brought bread inside the house, that stole bread from your house, like the chametz from your house. It's like, why would the mouse come? But like, that's how it's described. The mouse always steals, bothers, disturbs. It's not good. So if we don't like mice, there's a reason. So what would happen is that the mice would go and they infested all the fields. They were invaded with mice, and also the mice would attack them physically. So it was terrible. So they would attack them physically. Yes, internally. Yeah. Yeah. So that was. Yeah, that was quite yeah.
That was the whole play.
That was the whole play together with the hemorrhoids. It was a double, yeah, it came at the same time, and then they wanted to protect themselves, but it was not helping.
Mice or rats, whatever they were, like that makes it even more abuse of the
as the Sardea, yeah, but it's not as explicit. But yeah, definitely. I don't know why it slipped out of my mind, because it's not explicit in the psukim. That's why it slipped out. So that's what they will bring together with Aaron to give recognition to the Aaron, saying, we know that it was because of you, that your power is into these plagues. So we are sending you back with it. Now, what they're going to do even more. And what are they going to do? Pasuk Hey, ועשיתם צלמי אפולכם, תחוריכם, וצלמי עכבריכם, המשחיתים את הארץ. You will make those images of hemorrhoids and of mice, and that destroy the entire land. ונתתם לאלוקי ישראל kavod, and you will give honor to the God of Israel. At the beginning, when they put the Aaron by Dagon, they didn't say whether they were giving honor or shame to the Aaron. They were not explicit, but now they feel like we have to be sure we're all on the same page. Ulai yakel et yado me'alechem. Maybe his hand will be easier on you. Ume'al elokechem, and from your God. Ume'al artzechem, and from your land. Everybody's attacked. Everybody's suffering. Ve'lama techabdu et levavchem. And why? Look at the words. Ve'lama techabdu et levavchem. Why would you make your heart heavy? Just like Pharaoh that had that Hashem strengthened the heart of Pharaoh. And he explicitly, just like the Egyptians and Pharaoh strengthened their heart. Is he not going to do the same thing that all the punishments that he did against them? And they sent them and they went. So when in Egypt it happened, yeah, at the beginning they had a heavy heart and they had a strong heart and they didn't want to recognize it, but then eventually they did send them. They didn't have a choice. They were suffering too much. And now take and make a new wagon. You will make one new wagon. Don't use to transport the Aaron. You should not use a wagon that was used for something else. It's not respectful. You should use a wagon that is brand new, never used, 0 kilometers. Ushte parot alot, and two cows that are nursing cows. We'll explain why. Asher lo ala aleim ol, that never had a yoke on them. We have that concept also in the Torah for Kedusha, that The paraduma is thank you. The paraduma, the red heifer. Thank you. The red heifer is also a cow that never had a yoke on it, never did any work. It's not mundane. It was always selected for something special. ועשרתם את הפרות בעגלה, you will harness the cows to the wagon, והשבותם ביניהם, מאחריהם הביתה, and you will return them backwards home. Strange. So what did they say? They say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to build a new wagon, brand new. We're going to put 2 nursing cows, meaning cows that are nursing their calves. We're going to attach them to the wagon. But what are we going to do? We're going to leave the calves in the barn. And we're going to put the cows by the wagon, and we're not going to guide them. We're going to let them go. We're going to see where are they going. And are they going to go back to their calves that they're nursing? Naturally, that's what the cow would do. Doesn't separate from its baby. Or are they going to go away from them, walk away from them? Naturally, the cow would never do that. Only counter nature would the cow do that. So then not only that, but the cow, out of respect, they put the cow facing the Aaron. Not as when we imagine a horse and a buggy, that the horse is facing the road. Out of respect for the Aaron, they didn't want the cows to be giving their back to the Aaron. So the cows were walking backwards so that they would be facing the Aaron. Because they are leading the wagon. So if they are facing the Aaron, they're walking backwards, which is completely strange sight. ולקחתם את ארון השם, and you will take the ארון השם, ונתתם אותו אל העגלה, and you will put it on the עגלה, on the wagon, ואת כלי הזהב אשר השבותם לו, אשר השבתם לו השם, and the gold images that you created for as an offering, תשימו בארגז מצידו, you will put in a box next to the ארון, ושילחתם אותו, you will send it, והלך, and it will go. Meaning, you're not going to guide it, you just let it go. Let's see what happens. וראיתם, and you will see. אם דרך גבולו יעלה, if it goes to the road in the direction of the border, בית שמש, to בית שמש, Jewish city, הוא עשה לנו את הרעה הגדולה הזאת. That means that the Aaron is the one who caused all that trouble. Meaning the priests, they're still not convinced. The people, they're willing to build a new wagon, they're willing to build those gold images, but the priests, they're still not convinced. ואם לא, but if not, וידענו, כי לא ידו נגע בנו. We will know that it was not his hand that attacked us. מקרה הוא היה לנו. It was just a coincidence. All right, we'll stop here because it's afterwards there's a whole story how it goes back. But we see like the parallel here is even stronger with the Mitzrayim. And it's interesting because we know the story of Mitzrayim so well, but this is like, and by the way, like even in the grand scheme of Sefer Shmuel, it's a side story. When it's actually, we see those great miracles, this display of the power of Hashem that is so present. So, yeah. All right, it's a pleasure. Thank you for coming.